Welcome to episode 214 of Saturday Football Uncensored, brought to you by Saturday Down South and Texas Pete. On today's episode, we preview Rivalry Week, the last regular season games of the year. We will also discuss our thoughts on the newest CFP rankings. You can find the show on our website, SaturdayDownSouth.com, and Apple and Spotify. Don't forget to join us for the live show every Sunday night at 8 Eastern time on the Saturday Down South YouTube page. Go share the pod with your friends, everyone. We really appreciate it. The growth of the show has been on fire. And now, let's get to the show. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Saturday Football Uncensored, brought to you by Saturday Down South and Texas Pete. I'm your host, Tyler Huck, and with me, as always, for the last regular season preview pod.
That is so fucking depressing.
It really is. How did it go by so fast?
I don't know, but I really don't like it. I was thinking about that beforehand, and I'm like, I don't know. I watched Bucket List yesterday, so I don't need to get all emotional, but I was like, this sucks. This sucks.
Is that a movie?
Also, shout out already to the listeners, because we've got the numbers back for this month. And we're not saying this to brag by any means. This is just because we're very, very grateful.
We're bragging on our fans.
Yeah. I don't know what happened. If it's the Creed stuff that's really helped and taken off, I don't know if it's because of that. I don't know if it's because our personalities are just that great, or yours is, and it's making up for mine. I don't know. But the numbers in the first month were up 29% from the month before. Then from September to October, it was 20%. So still had increased. And then I don't know why I said it like that. And then from October to November, 45%. You guys have been incredible, and we're very, very thankful for it. Stop dabbing, dumbass. So we joke around on the pod a lot, but the live show was crazy. You guys, we had a bunch of people for the live show. We just really, I'm almost blown away a little bit. So I just wanted to say thank you. We're very, very grateful for you guys. And that's it.
Yep, and that's the pod.
Mm-hmm. 10 by 90. Fuck Tennessee. See y'all next week.
Okay. Well, this is a huge week. A lot of good games. But first, before we get into the games, the playoff rankings came out last night.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have any problems with it. I said last week, if Washington goes on the road, beats Oregon State, they deserve to be the number 4 team. And the committee came out and made it very transparent that this has nothing to do with the Jordan Travis injury, more so Washington. Reese Davis he was committed to, come on, but seriously, Florida State, we just got to look at them differently now, right? He just really wanted the committee to just go in on Florida State a little bit. I was a little perturbed by that.
Yeah, I think that my thought on this is it remains the same. I said it last week. If you're Florida State, the two biggest takeaways I have from the playoff ranking, and there's probably several you could say. I was a little bit confused. I am starting to get a little bit confused by Oregon, because I've been very high on Oregon. We both have them in our top 5. I think some of us have them in top 4. And part of that's because they play a really good brand of football. The offensive line has been incredible for a second year in a row. Defense has been much better than people think an Oregon defense would be. They're very, very stout. And Dan Lanning, obviously, defensive coach. And Bo Nix has been, arguably the best quarterback in the country in some people's eyes. So, the resume's not there. The resume's just not there. The best win
that's frustrating.
Utah. It was a 4-loss team that dropped out of the ring.
Yeah, and that's the frustrating part sometimes when you have the committee come out every single week and explain themselves on the rankings. I mean, half the time they're like, well, they've got a better resume than this team. And then with Oregon, it's like, well, they just look better. And it's like, okay, so what are you really valuing more at this point?
Michigan just sat at 3 all year with no resume at all. Just I don't know. But also, I was thinking about this, as much shit as we give Michigan. It is pretty wild that they have won 11 games and 5 of them have been without a head coach. That is pretty crazy. So, no, back to the rankings though. I think I have no problem with Washington moving ahead of Florida State, because I think that their resume should speak for itself. They've had 4 wins this season against ranked opponents. I know the fact they haven't won by double digits since midway through September. That's a little bit surprising, but they still have wins against 4 ranked opponents this year, which is, I believe, like more than Ohio State and Michigan combined. And they're sitting behind them. And I will also say that Florida State will still get in if they go undefeated, in my opinion. And the reason why you have to say this is, like, we already saw in year 1 with Ohio State and the backup QB, a third-string QB, go into the postseason with a backup quarterback. Now, granted, they did win 59-0 in that Big Ten championship game. Or like 59-3. So I don't know if Florida State, I don't think Florida State has to do that. But, like, the other thing is this. Texas and Bama. You have to put Texas in over Bama. Have to. And the reason why is this. You're setting a long-term precedent for the college football playoff and for college football in general that there is no reason to schedule good games outside of your conference. Like, if you put, I've already said this, and I will be as transparent as possible. I'm telling you this now, that Texas should be in over Bama. I will guarantee you that if Bama beats Georgia from the hours of 8 p.m. on December 2nd to 12 noon the next day, I will have a very different attitude, most likely, because I will be amped up and like, reveling off that last win. But, like, you are doing a pretty big disservice to college football, I think, right now, if this happens and Texas gets in over or doesn't get in over Bama after going to Tuscaloosa, beating them by double digits. I don't care what happens the rest of the way. Like, you are telling the rest of college football, hey, there's no fucking reason for you to schedule any good games outside of your conference.
That's a fair point. I think for you as a Bama fan, you're rooting for Texas to lose to Texas Tech this weekend. I mean, they could lose in the Big 12 championship game, but let's have Texas Tech beat Texas. Oregon loses to Washington in the Pac-12 game. Ohio State beats Michigan. Then I think Bama's got a chance to get in. Obviously they'd have to beat Georgia.
Yeah.
There's still a lot to unfold here.
I still don't think we're going to get some crazy weekend. If we do, I really hope it does not involve Alabama. But, like, I am pulling for the following teams. Oklahoma State and Texas Tech, Oregon State, Washington State, Ohio State. It doesn't matter, but also Georgia. I'll pull for Georgia Tech because I like Georgia Tech, but it would be bad for Alabama if Georgia lost this game.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, there's a lot to still be shaken out here, and we're going to cover these games. So I think we start right on Thanksgiving Day.
Fuck
Thursday,
yeah, bro.
7:30 on ESPN. Number 12, Ole Miss, 9-2 on the year, at Mississippi State, who is 5-6, ready for bowl contention if they can win this game.
Yeah,
I was listening to some hard facts being spit on some other gambling podcasts, and I found historically that teams that are 5-6 going into the last week are 53%. So they're a little bit of an edge to the 5-6 teams that are desperate to get into a bowl. So that's interesting. There's a couple teams on this slate that are in that 24 in total, 24 5-6 teams going into this final game. So this is one of those games. This is a 10.
How many are bowl eligible?
Huh?
God, I hate this.
How many are bowl eligible now? Yeah, I
don't know. This internet connection. Yeah.
I'm
sorry, everybody. This is my fault.
Well, we should be able to get a clear recording because we're doing it a different way this time.
Oh, good. I overreacted. Fair enough.
Yep. So this is a 10. Actually, I think this is moved. Let me see the current line here. It opened as a 10 point spread. There's some 11s on the board. There's some 10.5s on the board, but we have moved past the 10 at this point.
Ooh.
I wanted to share what I thought was a pretty funny video that I found earlier today. It was the classic coaches call-in show. I'm not gonna be able to do it. It's a Lane Kiffin.
I'll tell you what they said.
Yeah, my computer's not wanting to share.
Is it about the cowbell?
It's about the cowbells.
Yeah. So Lane Kiffin basically like went on this little rant about how it's like, the cowbells. Here
we go.
It was something about how he's like, why is this? Somebody's gonna give me a history lesson on why this is even legal, blah blah blah. And like, if you look,
have you guys been preparing for that loud cowbell?
Oh man, who's this guy? You probably can't hear that, can you?
That's me.
Can you hear this?
No,
noise.
We're firing on all cylinders right now.
Sick. All right, yeah. Basically, they're like, they're saying like, we don't understand why the cowbell can play through while we're actually trying to call plays, because the rule is supposed to be, whether it's a band or they're playing over the PA system, you have to stop once they get up to the line and are trying to run a play. And they said the rule basically is you have to shake the cowbells like respectfully and smartly. And he was like, well, that was the dumbest rule I've ever heard. Who's going to listen to that, especially in this game?
Yeah,
I don't know. I thought it's much more funny when you actually watch the clip.
I think they didn't say. I don't think he said respectfully. I think he said responsibly. I think he said like because that's the way the law, the rule is written. It's like you need to reduce responsibly. If there's a word that encapsulates all SEC fans, it's responsible, especially on game day and especially when it comes to sportsmanship.
This total in the Egg Bowl, 54.5. I don't look. I mean, the Egg Bowl is always one of the craziest rivalries. Like, I feel like something crazy, whether it's a guy pretending he's peeing on the field as a dog. I mean, there's just crazy stuff that happens in this game. So maybe it's not in doubt, but it is a double-digit spread here. What are you thinking for this game?
So I do like, from a betting standpoint, two things, okay? And that is, I don't know why they're not listing the second half point total or point spread. I think that part is pretty interesting to me because I think I would take Ole Miss. I like Ole Miss to cover. I think no. They usually listen the day before because I got all of them for the ones on Friday and Saturday, and there's a couple in here that I think are locks. For instance, Bama is a 6.5 point second half favorite, and LSU is a 4 point second half favorite. I think those two are my favorite ones. You could get Ole Miss earlier in the week at 9.5, and that's what I'm going to say that I did in this game because I think they cover, and I'll tell you why. I also think that, like, from a gambling standpoint, one of my best bets, Ole Miss to score first in this game is all but a lock. I love the fact that Mississippi State can get to bowl eligibility. They seem like they had rallied the troops. The locker room scene where they drove in on the four-wheeler, all that kind of stuff. You get Will Rogers back, all that kind of shit. A lot on the line, and you're at home. You upset them a year ago. I think all that's great. You also, the other good point I'll make for Mississippi State, Ole Miss at home versus on the road. Ole Miss averages 21 points per game less on the road than they do at home. And this game is obviously being played in Starkville. All that being said, I just have this feeling that this is like a massive, massive deal for Ole Miss because this is like the second time I think I was on a show with T-Bob Bear today, and he said it's the second time in program history they would get to 10 wins in the regular season. It's a massive deal, like a massive deal. Get to 10 wins in the regular season for this program. And then if you look at it, if you're an Ole Miss fan, you're like, if somebody would have told you in the beginning of the year or told Lane Kiffin, look, you're going to go 10-2, and your only two losses are going to come on the road against Georgia and Bama, that is a phenomenal job of coaching. Phenomenal. So I like Ole Miss. I like Ole Miss big. I think this is a statement game for Kiffin, who is kind of going through some shit, like with some of the stuff that people are saying, like about, he's being sued right now by a former player. I don't know if you've seen the latest on this, but it's pretty fucking disgusting. I'll just be honest. Like, usually we try to say stuff like this, but I saw this yesterday. The player, his attorney, is trying to file a lawsuit against Lane Kiffin, saying that they have examples that he was treating black players versus differently than white players because a white player who was gone was given all these different luxuries and like he was afforded time off and blah blah blah. The white player that was off, it was his dad died. Very different situation.
Yeah.
All that being said, I think that Kiffin is going to come into this game after losing last year, after the fact that like that's happened, they're on the road. He's got a chance to put like a statement win to bookend the season, and I think that's what he's going to end up doing. I think Ole Miss wins big, man. I think they win by 20.
Okay. I don't have quite that big of a spread, but I have them covering. Like you said, Will Rogers is back. He came back for the Southern Miss game last week, and he looked rusty. 144 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. He had 6 drops. Not that that's on him, but he's only 12 of 27. Jaquavius Marks, who was out for the last 3 before he returned last week, that's obviously a big addition for them as well. But they don't do anything very good. Like they're 122nd on offense. They're 122nd in success rate, 124th in third down conversions, 81st in havoc allowed, 94th in finishing drives. On defense, it's not much better. 117th in finishing drives allowed, 73rd in success rate allowed. They just don't do anything well. I expect because it's the Egg Bowl that at least it'll be competitive for a half, and they're fighting for bowl eligibility. Weird thing of this game, like you wouldn't think about this, but the under is 8-2 in the last 10 in this game.
Wow.
So something to think about. But I'll take Ole Miss 34-17.
I was going to say 38-17.
There you go. All right, Friday. Let's move to Friday, 4:00 on CBS. Number 9, Missouri, who is 9-2, at Arkansas, who is 4-7. So they are not going to make a bowl this year. They did get some good news, I guess, if you're a Sam Pittman fan, that they will be keeping him for another year. This is a 7.5-point spread. Arkansas, the home dog here, total 54.5. Missouri's trying to get to double-digit wins for the first time since 2014. We've talked about this a lot, but Arkansas this year has 1 win over a Power 5 team. That would be Florida in overtime.
That's crazy.
Western Carolina, Kent State, and FIU are their other victories. Picked this up on another podcast as well. Didn't know this, but Drinkwitz, we all know he's like kind of likes to be a shit talker. He's kind of petty.
Yeah.
He's from Arkansas. Okay. And there's 2 things here. He didn't get a look from Arkansas when they were going to hire a coach. And apparently Gus Malzahn is one of his best friends, and the Arkansas admin screwed him over at some point. So petty drink going to be in his bag in this game. Missouri's 8-2 in the last 10 straight up. I like where Missouri is headed. I know this is a tough game, but it's not like Missouri has an SEC championship game on deck after this. They should be firing on all cylinders. The under's 3-7 in the last 10. So this has typically been high scoring. I'm going to go Missouri 35, Arkansas 14.
Okay. So there's a reason why this line is going down, and I don't know what it is. Except that Mizzou might be without 4 starters. They're going to be without 2 linebackers. I checked a text from my trusty source at Mizzou. My trusty source is just my buddy Jeff, who I'm sure is celebrating a very exciting Drinksgiving, is what we'll call it on here, since it's not appropriate to call it outside here. Anyway, Jeff was saying the other day, we were having this conversation, like, I was like, why is the line dropping so much? And because I just don't pay that much attention to like deep Missouri intel, right? Because here's the thing. Look, I'm not trying to say that I don't care about Missouri football. I don't need to care about Missouri football in this instance. I love Sam Pittman. I'm glad he got another year. Very happy for him. I think that's the right move. That being said, Mizzou, I don't need to know anything about Mizzou outside of the fact that they're a much better football team. They're a better football program. And if you need any example of that, not even just this year, man. Not even just this year. You look at like what they've done to Arkansas. It's one of the first things that came out of Drinkwitz's mouth when he went up to the stage. And I'm looking at it right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Mizzou is 7-2 against Arkansas in the last 9 games against them. They have dominated this rivalry. 6 last 7 against them. What's brought up at 80 days in Nashville, like I said, is one of the first things he brought up. I know they might be without a couple of guys, and maybe they struggle early and all that. But this offense, one thing's been really cool to watch this offense. We thought in the beginning of the year it was just going to be Luther Burden, right? And now as the season's gone on, Luther Burden's not leading the country in receiving more. It's Cody Schrader coming in and putting up 300 yards total against Tennessee, and then having another great game last week. It's Theo Weiss making huge catches when they need it most. It's Luther Burden last week on 4th and 17, and Brady fucking Cook step up in the pocket, making a massive throw when he goes. This team is like they have 2 losses, and it felt like they kind of got away from them against LSU. And I'll tell you what, man, if that game was replayed this week, I don't know if they're giving up a 22-7 lead. I just don't. Not with the way LSU's defense is. And credit LSU all you want there, but like this is a team that had the ball, that had a chance to drive late in the 4th quarter to possibly win the game. And, you end up 4,000-pound man. I love this Mizzou team this year. I don't see anything getting in the way of 10 wins. I think they get their 10th win this week. The line scares the shit out of me. It scares the shit out of me. Their offense is good enough to keep pace with them. So I will say Mizzou wins 34-20.
By the way, the line currently has moved to 9.
It went back up?
It did. So there's that. 8.5, 9, depending on where you're looking at. It's a good line. All right.
Yeah.
Sticking with the pre-Saturday games, we will go to Friday, 8:30 on Fox. Number 16, Oregon State, who is 8-3, coming off that Washington loss last week, against number 6, Oregon, who is 10-1. Oregon, a 13.5-point favorite in this game. Opened at 14. A little bit of money came in on Oregon State to push it down to 13.5. Total 62.5. This is the Civil War. I don't care what PC term we want to use for the rivalry here. This is the Civil War game. OSU's won 2 of the last 3. Oregon leads the all-time series 67-49-10. Obviously, we know Oregon punches their ticket for a rematch with Washington in the Pac-12 title game if they can win this game. Oregon State could ruin Oregon's season, their last year in the Pac-12. The head coach for Oregon State, Jonathan Smith, he's a hot commodity. Oregon State AD came out, said they're working toward a long-term deal, so that would be good for them. He played in this game. He's coached in this game. This game means a lot to him. Last year, I don't think you probably remember this because you have a great memory of what happens in games in the past. I don't know if people remember how this game played out last year. Oregon State won the game 38-34.
So weird.
But Oregon was up 31-10 with 4 minutes to go in the 3rd quarter. Oregon State in the entire game only passed for 60 yards. And Oregon State came back and won the game. Here's how. 4th quarter started, and Oregon kicks a field goal to go up 34-17 with 1 quarter left. Ensuing kickoff, Oregon State takes it back 48 yards, gets a 15-yard penalty on a face mask, so they just start on the Oregon 36. 3 rush plays, touchdown. Ensuing kickoff, returner takes it out when he shouldn't have, tackled at the 16, holding penalty, they go back to the 8, 3 and out. The punter fumbles the snap, gets tackled at the 2 plays, touchdown, 34-31. Only about 2.5 minutes have come off the clock at this point. Ensuing kickoff, Oregon returns it to the 9. Special teams really failed the Ducks last year. Oregon ensuing kickoff returns it to the 9. They get it out to their 28-yard line. It's a 4th and 1. Lanning does to go for it, and they get stopped on an RPO. Bo Nix tried to rush it. They get stopped. So on their own 28, Oregon State comes up with the ball. 4 rush plays, touchdown, 38-34. And there was still like 10 minutes left, and Oregon State's defense holds, and that was the final score. Like if that would have happened to Florida State, against Florida, I would have gone insane.
Yeah.
You're up 34-17 in the 4th quarter.
Yeah.
So there's going to be some revenge on the mind here for Oregon.
So, too much. Yeah.
No, I just didn't hear it because the internet's just not working out too well. I
hate it.
I think Oregon wins this game. They're going to want to get revenge, but in this kind of rivalry game, the Civil War, I think 13.5 is probably too many points. So I'm going to go Oregon wins 36-24. They don't cover, but they do win, and they get the rematch with Washington.
Yeah. Give me the score again. I'm sorry. Give me the score.
36-24 Oregon.
Oh, okay. That's stupid. Okay. Could have easily just said 37, but
Yep.
my hope for Oregon State to win the conference is gone. I had it preseason. You're out here wearing their colors like an asshole. You're kind of being like a net neutral here with their colors, which is kind of fun. A little bit of green, also some black and orange up there. Love it, love it, love it.
Yep.
Now, we joke around about Oregon State a lot. I think they're a great football team, and they're really, really fun to watch this year. I know they're 8-3, but some of those losses, like is it Oregon State that have 3 losses, right?
Yes, and it was only by a total of like less than 10.
It was 3 losses by 8 points. That's it. Okay. Now that being said, I have also brought up this a whole bunch. Like they have beaten Oregon 2 of the last 3 years. But that line, I was like, why is that line so high? That's crazy. I love the brand of football that Oregon State plays. I love the under in this game. I think this would be much more of a defensive goal between the two. I wonder if it plays a lot like the game you were mentioning last year, where it's like, okay, well, somebody gets out early and then they kind of come back, or if it's just like they keep chasing each other the entire game and somebody pulls away at the end. I lean towards like the latter of those. I think it's more of like they kind of mirror each other. It's a slow start, in my opinion, the first, and they're not on script. Because I think that Oregon State's a really, really well-coached football team, and I think Oregon's a really well-coached football team as well. I cannot figure out for the life of me 13.5 because like I said, they have won 2 of the last 3. My question for you is this, Tyler. Do you know how many times Oregon State has won against Oregon in Eugene in the last 30 years?
Oh, no, I don't. 3.
Once.
1. Wow.
Yeah.
Good stat.
So, I mean, that might make up for it a little bit. It was in 2007, and it took to double overtime for them to do it. But every other win they've had in the last 30 years has been in Corvallis. They have not beaten Oregon in Oregon except for one time, and it was 15 years ago in double overtime. So that makes me think that Oregon – also, if you look at some of these numbers for most of the games, like I understand these are 2 different programs. They've been 2 different programs for quite some time. But the way that Oregon State has won, it's been like, they won by 4 last year. They won by 3 years ago. Like I mentioned, like the double overtime game, they won by 2 the year before that. Then you look at everything else, like every game that Oregon's won has been like kind of like a blowout. I don't think this is a huge blowout, and I don't think it needs to be a statement game or a statement win from Dan Lanning. I like Oregon to win. I also don't think they cover the 13.5. I will say that Oregon wins, I'll say 38-28, and hang my hat on that.
Okay. All right. I like that pick. This one's a little bit under the radar, but I think it's a sneaky good game. Saturday, 8 p.m. on the ACC Network. UNC, who is 8-3, against number 22 NC State. Sneaky NC State, also 8-3. They've been on a bit of a roll over the last couple games. I'd say that kind of in jest. They've definitely won their last 4, including against Clemson and Miami, and then went on the road and beat Wake and Virginia Tech, which isn't much. They only had 202 total yards against Clemson and still won that game 24-17. And they only had 231 yards total offense against Miami. Not going to get it done against UNC, but this is a much, much easier defense to play against. This is a 2.5-point home dog for NC State against UNC, total 55. I don't have a lot of analysis on this. All I can say is NC State at night is a very tough place to play, sneaky tough. And UNC, this seems like a spot that they just blow it consistently. I don't know what it is about UNC. I mean, I love Drake May. I just don't think they have a great team year in and year out. They're always kind of perennially underrated or overrated. So I think I'm gonna say against NC State with the outright win here. I'll go 30-27.
I think it's a good pick, man. I think like when you look at like the past 15 years, right? Past 15 years, NC State has won, or 16 really. They've won 11 of the last 16, and it's a little bit similar to what I just said about Oregon. Like those wins are usually a little bit a slimmer margin, but this does feel like going into Carter Finley at night does feel a little bit different. Now, this could be Drake May's last game. This could be Drake May's last game in college. That, I think, counts for something. But every time I look at this UNC team after, like, the month of October started, it's like they just disappoint me. And it's like whether I've, like, bet big on them or I think they're going to win big or I've like, gone to bat for them, or it's like, I think we might have been the kiss of death being like, this Gene Chizik defense has been lights out ever since, they've made a bunch of changes and blah, blah, blah. Now, they do have, I believe they have the nation's leading rusher, which I was very surprised to hear. And I probably should have also known that since it's their job to cover college football. But that being said, I think that this is a fun game where UNC tries to do some fun things for Drake May's last game. Like, whether it's like don't be surprised if he gets back in this game. For real. Like, I think that stuff's off the table. But I will also say that it scares me them going to Carter Finley because NC State is like, I feel like they're a little bit like Auburn when they're at their most dangerous when they're just kind of lying in the weeds, right? Just lying in the weeds. I think that God, you picked NC State.
I did.
I'm going to pick UNC just to be different. But I just have a bad feeling. I think it's a very close game. I don't think they cover the 7. But I'll say UNC, and I'll say let's see here. I'll say UNC wins 28-24. Oh, it's not 7, it's 3. So perfect. Yeah.
That is perfect.
What was yours again?
30-27, NC State.
Okay.
All right, so Saturday at noon on ABC, Kentucky 6-5 on the year versus number 10 Louisville 10-1 on the year. Louisville a 7-point favorite, total 55.5. I'll let you start on this one. This is called the Governor's Cup. I
Okay,
believe.
So yeah, they call it the Governor's Cup because it actually did not have a name for quite some time. And both teams got really big into Walking Dead, and they were like all about Walking Dead for like the first 3 to 5 years. And then the cast, there was that one season where Negan came in and he had a weird name. And then on top of that, there wasn't a lot of payoff for every episode because every single episode somebody died. And it was this very arduous, brutal, episode by episode, I don't know, it was like a laborious watch. But before that, when they had the governor, that was the peak of not only this rivalry, but maybe this country and that show. So they called it the Governor's Cup because of that. It's actually, they've only been playing this game for 10 years. So people don't know that. And that's all very, very factual and not made up at all. So I will also tell you.
Speaking of The Walking Dead, Kentucky.
I will tell you the theme of not looking up facts and basing any of the things I'm saying off of being factual truth. I think Kentucky wins this game. And I have no reason to believe that. Louisville has been a really, really good football team, but I had there's a reason. I know they get this game at home. I know it's a touchdown favorite, all that kind of stuff. Devin Leary has been one of the most disappointing transfers into the SEC in maybe Jeremiah Masoli at the QB position. He has just been really, really tough all year. Ray Davis has been fun to watch. I think there will be more points in this game than maybe in years past, and they might run up the score on both sides a little bit because defenses tend to get torched at times. I'm basing this on 2 things. Louisville, I feel like maybe they are starting to realize there's more at stake. There's a ceiling over Louisville's head. They're not going to get into the playoff, even if they win the ACC. But they got a chance to win the ACC. In year 1, with a new head coach, that's a pretty massive deal to be able to accomplish. And they've kind of got Florida State in a very vulnerable spot. Maybe there's a little bit of they smell blood in the water and all that kind of stuff. I don't think that they look ahead necessarily too much because this is still a rivalry game you don't want to overlook. But I tell you what, man, I've watched it 1,000 times with other rivalries, especially Alabama. When you got a 10-1 team and a 6-5 team with nothing to lose, Kentucky has not had that one Mark Stoops win that they seem to get every single year. Whether it's an upset of somebody good, maybe it's like, an emphatic win. It's a program that just they've really flown under the radar and has not been up to like the standard I think they thought they were going to be at this year. I think they beat Louisville this weekend. I think this is like the Mark Stoops 2023 signature game. And I think that Kentucky wins in a really, really good offensive game. I will say, let me see here. The over-under is 50.5. I think it goes way over that, to be honest. I'm going to say Kentucky 34-31.
Wow. I just don't see how Kentucky scores. If you look at their last no, they'll score. They're not going to get shut out. But, we've gone over this ad nauseum about their wins versus their losses. Yeah. They have 6 wins. Ball State, Eastern Kentucky, Akron, Vanderbilt, Mississippi State, and Florida. Not exactly. I don't think any of those teams are going to a bowl. Their last – I'm looking at their box scores here. Since the Georgia game, they've put up 183 total yards against Georgia, 299 against Missouri. The outlier, Tennessee, they put up 444 but still lost the game. And then against Mississippi State, 271, Alabama, 253, South Carolina, who has a horrible defense, they put up 293 yards, only scored 14 points. I think Louisville's lost 4 straight to Kentucky. The last 2 games that have been in Louisville, Kentucky's won 56-10 and 52-21. I just think Kentucky's a different team this year. I don't like them at all. Braum came out, actually, he didn't give you the cliche that this is the most important game we've played thus far. He said this is the most important game we have left on our schedule the rest of the season. Yeah. I think they're putting a lot into this game. They want to win this game. I think Louisville wins the game 31-21.
Right.
So there it is. All right. Another noon game here. This one is on ESPN. Texas A&M 7-4, number 14 LSU 8-3. LSU is an 11.5 point home favorite. Total 66.5.
Yeah,
we saw this game last year play out in the weirdest way ever. Like just the weirdest. It was on kind of like a casual second screen, and you're noticing that like a pretty good LSU team is just getting beaten down by a pretty terrible Texas A&M team that make a bowl. Where do you see this game playing out? Because obviously A&M's got an interim coach, really nothing to lose. LSU doesn't have much to lose. I think they'll probably try to get Jaden Daniels as many stats as they can in this game. Where do you see it playing out?
So the 3 things I think are all but certain in this game. LSU wins. Yeah. Maybe not the over. 66.5 is a lot.
Yeah,
but LSU wins. Is pretty good. LSU wins by a lot. It is pretty good. But they are missing a lot of key pieces there. There's rumors that Stewart, the receiver, might not even travel. I don't know how real those are. I'm sure they probably aren't that real. But there's rumors that he's going to hit the portal, and Bama apparently leads the way for his future services. But I don't know how real that is, like I said. Would love it. Come on down, please. Now, this game, the things that
Max
I know
Johnson
for certain.
played in this game? Do you know?
I don't know.
Okay.
They should just let him play all-time quarterback once Daniels gets his 4th touchdown, which is the other thing that I know, because he's 4 away. He's 4 touchdowns away from getting 50 this season, and 50 is a nice, fat, round number that would say to the Heisman voters, like, hey, look at what I did. And I think they'll get him to 50. I think he'll probably go beyond that. I think you're probably talking about 5 or 6 touchdowns in this game. I don't think that A&M is going to be able to hang with them. I would tell you again, maybe the lock of the week is LSU second half -4, because I think that they will roll over and die in this game because A&M has nothing to play for. They have nothing to play for. They're not going to upset them, right? Like, it's also a weird, sleepy 11 a.m. start in Death Valley, which is just weird. The other thing that I know is going to happen in this game, LSU will win. That's 1. LSU will get 4 touchdowns for Jaden Daniels. That's 2. And 3, they will get up big enough in this game. They will make sure that Jaden Daniels is pulled out on a second down after a big play late in the fourth quarter so he can get his flowers and get a send-off from the LSU fans because he's put together one of the most remarkable seasons in SEC history, really, and especially LSU history, which is really saying something coming 5 years after, or just less than 5 years after Joe Burrow won the Heisman. So all of those things I think are guaranteed to happen, in my opinion. Brian Kelly may have underachieved in some people's year, but I will tell you this. If there's one thing that I know about Brian Kelly, it's that he understands the moment better than most. He might not always win. He might not always win the big game. He might not always be able to have the talent or a head coach as a Saban or Kirby Smart. He might go back at times like he was at Notre Dame, but he understands the moment, and he understands that one way to keep this fan base in his back pocket, because he had him there going into the season, is work and possibly winning the Heisman. The other thing is you finish 9-3, maybe it's not as what, but put your foot on someone's throat late in the year, get a revenge game. This is a game that A&M is they've never beaten LSU in Death Valley since they've joined the conference. But this is not they don't like each other. And I think that he will take advantage of that, and he will do everything in his power to make this ball out. I think they will win by 20 points. I'll take LSU. I'll say 41-21.
Is your stat about never beating LSU or A&M at home? Did you say they've never beaten A&M in Death Valley, or A&M's never beaten them in Death Valley?
A&M has never beaten LSU in Death Valley since they joined the conference, according to Chris Gordy. I will not take the blame for that. Okay.
No, I thought you said it the other way. I was like, I'm looking here. They beat them every time they played them at home. So no, I agree. If you look back from last year all the way through 2010, which is, I guess, when they started playing in this game. I don't see a score for 2011, which is weird, but they've covered every game. They haven't won every game, but they've covered every game but one, which was last year against A&M. Right. So I think they do the same thing here. Nice send-off for Jaden Daniels. I will go 42-24. I think it's a beatdown.
Yeah.
All right, sneaky potential good game here in the state of South Carolina. Saturday, 7:30 p.m. on the SEC Network. Number 24, Clemson, back in the polls, 7-4 on the year against South Carolina. One of those 5-6 teams we talked about. South Carolina's +7 at home, total 52.5. Sir, what do you think will happen in this game?
Oh, I said some things on radio today, Tyler, that were very
I think I caught that
regrettable.
on social media.
I don't know what I was thinking. I got caught up in the moment. I mean, we're not gonna clip this, but I just hate Dabo so much. It's hard for me to go into this game and be like, I think Clemson wins. This is hands down the least likable post-game press conference rivalry in America, hands down.
I wish they just do it jointly like we talked about earlier in the year.
Yeah.
That'd be fantastic.
Yeah. just like a Blood and Crips thing, but you wish that both sides would secretly get shot. No, I think that Dabo has got his team playing really, really well. But I'll give you a stat. That makes me think I cannot bring myself to picking Clemson. And there's a bunch of people that Clemson fans have said some pretty reckless shit. And not reckless. They've said some things that's all pretty deserved. I made the comment, I don't think they're man enough to go into South Carolina. I don't know why I fucking said that. Okay, I'll be honest with you guys. You're my friends. It's a safe space. I don't ever bring out masculinity in football that much. You're not man enough to go beat South Carolina. First off, that doesn't even sound like something I would say. And third off or second off or whatever number we're on, man enough to beat South Carolina. I don't know why the fuck I said that. It was a very bad idea, and I'm gonna have to reap what I sow. Anyway, what I'm gonna hang on to and cling on to just one grip.
Here's what I'm gonna say. I'll replace your words you used earlier for these. Clemson only won one road game this year, and it was against Syracuse, who just fired their coach, Dino Babers. They went on the road to Duke, lost 7-28. They went on the road, Miami 2020 to a backup quarterback, and they went on the NC State and lost 17-24. All the other games except for Florida State, they won at home. So totally different team on the road than at home. So that has to give you some hope if you're a Gamecocks fan as well.
Yeah. I'll piggyback off that. Here's why I think Carolina wins. Spencer Rattler send-off game, right? You're coming in. Carolina's not going to be scared of Clemson, for one. If I'm looking at a coach that I trust more in this game, to be honest, I'm not saying there's what I'm about to say, but I'll say it anyway. If I'm picking a team that I trust or trust more, it's probably Shane Beamer. I'll say just because of this. Shane Beamer didn't fake a fucking punt on 4th and 9 from his own 20 against Georgia Tech. Like, that is insane behavior. So I wonder if the moment becomes too big for Dabo, because he's obviously been on much bigger stages than playing a 5-6 Carolina team. They should win this game. They're a touchdown favorite on the road, right? Like this should not face them at all. But you said this best, right? On the road, 1-3. I'll go one more. I'll go even further with you. You said they were 1-3 in road games. Here's the attendance in those road games. Duke, 31,638 people. Miami, 48,562. There's no fucking way there were 48,000 people in that stadium that day. There's no fucking way.
No.
And then NC State.
And if it was, 30,000 of them were Clemson fans.
Yeah, exactly. And it's also this. I think this is just the max capacity for each stadium. And then NC State, 56,919. Williams-Brice holds 77,559 people, and it will be sold out. It is a night game. It will be very loud. And I will tell you from living in this state, these two do not like each other. They do not like each other at all. I mean, they like this is like Bama Auburn in terms of Bama being the state school, Carolina being the state school, and then Auburn looking down their nose at Bama always because of like, you know, all like the bandwagon fans if you didn't go there or what the fuck ever, right? But in this case, Clemson it's not like it's some great school at all. It's in the middle of fucking nowhere. Like, it is very culty, and like there's not like, you know, they're gonna hang their hat on those 2 national championships and the rock the other fans for a long time. I think Carolina wins, man. I think Carolina wins. I don't think it's big, but I think they find a way to fucking win this game. I will say earlier, I think it's Carolina. Fuck it. Run it back from last year. Carolina 30-28. Wait, it was 31-30. That was dumb. Close enough. Carolina 30-28.
Yeah, I think you know, South Carolina, they've got to win this game. Beamer has to win this game. They need to make a bowl this year. And so I think they'll definitely cover the game. I like them to cover that 7-point spread.
Yeah.
I'll take South Carolina to win outright as well. I just can't trust Clemson on the road this year. What's the total? 51.5.
Yeah.
I will take South Carolina 30-24.
And I'll say the origin of this real quick, just for.
I have no idea how they're going to score 30 points. By the way,
no idea. But I will tell you this: the origin of this rivalry, I think, comes back into play here. This rivalry game is called Big Thursday. Okay, and we're going to have Big Thursday, Black Friday the day after, and then a cock win on Saturday. You're talking about 3 days of big cock right in a way, like right in a row. And I really like South Carolina here. There you go, BBC.
All right. Didn't know that's where we go with that one. All right, the Sunshine Showdown, as they call it, and no one in the rivalry actually calls it that. I don't think anyone calls it that, but that is the name of the rivalry. Number 5, Florida State, 11-0 against Florida, 5-6. Another one of those 5-6 teams. Florida State is a 6.5-point road favorite. Total has ticked down to 49.5. This game is at 7 p.m. on ESPN. Obviously, I'm nervous. I wasn't nervous before Travis went down. I think the drop-off from Jordan Travis to Tate Rodemaker is a bigger drop off than going from Graham Mertz to Max Brown. Here is what I'm thinking. I think Florida State will win the game. You can hit explosives on Florida's defense, both through the air and on the ground. I think Norvell is one of the better play callers in the country. I think you sit with your backup quarterback this week, you find out what he's good at, what he likes to do, and you call the game towards that, make him comfortable, and you tell him, do not turn the ball over. It's the only way we lose this game. Because I think Rodemaker has again, it's the backup bowl here. It's 2 backup quarterbacks. I think Rodemaker has the better supporting cast. I think he's got the better coaching staff, and I think Florida State has the better defense. So the way that Florida wins this game is right off the bat, raucous crowd. It's a night game in the Swamp. It's still a tough place to play. It's sold out. If you rattle Rodemaker where he's seeing ghosts and he's fleeing the pocket too early and taking sacks and throwing interceptions, it's a path to victory because I think Florida does have enough firepower on offense, especially in the run game, which is Florida State's weakness on defense, to score some points here. But I'm going to be positive. I'm going to think that that Norvell will manage this game the right way for Rodemaker, and I think that Florida State will eventually pull away. It's going to be a stressful game. I'm going to hate it, but I'm going to go with Florida State 30, Florida 20, 10-point victory.
I like that. Let me give you some numbers here throughout the season, okay? Everyone knows that Florida plays a traditionally very weak schedule in the start of the year. Here are the numbers. When you look at what this defense has done over the last 2 months, starting with Kentucky, in their last, let me see here, 7 games, they have given up 30 points or more in 6 of their last 7. The only one they didn't was against Vanderbilt, and that does not count because it's fucking Vanderbilt, okay? Then you look at what they've done in each month. 17 points allowed in the month of September, 32 in October, 41.3 in November. Now let's look at the points allowed in conference games versus non-conference. Did you know that Florida is only giving up 12.7 points per game against non-conference opponents? Right? Pretty good. Pretty good. Giving up over 21 points more in games played against SEC opponents. That may, for some Florida fans that are a bit slow because they've been doing too much meth outside of a Wawa, let me explain to you what that means. That does not mean that it's a good thing because Florida State is a non-conference game. It's a bad thing because Florida State's better than most teams in this conference. And this might as well be a conference game. From a yardage standpoint, they're giving up almost 275 yards more per game against conference opponents, which, again, I fully am aware that Florida State is not in the SEC, but they are. What happened?
No, I'm looking at the yardage they've given up pretty much since the Kentucky game, every game. It is.
Yeah. You want to rattle them off?
Yeah, I'll rattle them off. So Kentucky, 398. Vanderbilt, you set it down to 340, so that's a good job.
Mm-hmm.
Since then, South Carolina, 465 total yards. Georgia, 486. Arkansas, 481. LSU, 701. Missouri, 508.
Here's the thing about all that. What was Arkansas's?
481.
That's almost fucking impossible to have done this year. That's almost impossible to have done. And the best thing that I've heard about this, and I love them to death, I got to go to lunch with them on Mondays, one of my oldest friends. If you're listening, Jorge, George Simpson, one of my very good friends in Columbia, South Carolina, he brought up the best point about Florida I've heard all season. You go to the Florida game, and they put up 488 yards of offense, and that's a lot. That's really good, right? That's like in like the run-of-the-mill, very like for what that defense at LSU has allowed to everyone else. Like, so is it that impressive? No. Like, you've given up so many more yards to conference opponents and so many more points to conference opponents. You got worse every single game on defense. I like Florida State. I think this is like maybe they're rattled early, but I think they rallied the fucking troops. I think you get in there, they might struggle with Louisville. I don't see them going into the swamp against a 5-6 team who has lost 4 straight games and think that, you know what, I think this is the week that we fucking fold. You come fucking far. You've worked too fucking hard. And I hate that Jordan Travis is out. Jesus, man. Go fucking history. Go into the swamp, rip out their fucking hearts, and walk back into, I guess, Charlotte for the ACC championship and go win you a fucking title. Like that, I think that has to be the mindset. I love Florida State in this game. I think that it might be a shootout early. It is going to be a pick your poison of how you want to get beat in the second half. Do you want it to be the receivers with Keon Coleman and that fucking 7'4" bull dude they got on the other side? I've had some drinks. Or is it the run game? You want to let them just run through you like Ray Davis did during the Kentucky game. So I like Florida State. I am fully aware they're missing their starting quarterback. But I like Florida State, and I will say the 49.5 is nowhere near how many points will be scored in this game. I'll say Florida State 34-24.
All right. Hope you're right, sir. Another big one on Saturday, 3:30 p.m. on CBS. The Iron Bowl, number 8 Alabama, 10-1 against Auburn, 6-5. Total 48.5. Spread 14.5 for Alabama. Are the rumors true? Did Auburn really spend 0 time preparing for New Mexico State? Hugh Freeze apparently on the road or doing recruiting all week, not really involved in the game planning. I actually think if you're a Bama fan, that was like the worst thing that could have happened last week is Auburn getting trounced at home by New Mexico State. Because obviously that's embarrassing. You're going to have to come back in this game. You already would because it's an Iron Bowl and show the country that that's not what you're made of. Bama's 2-7 against the spread in Jordan Hare since 2005. They've lost 5 of those 9 games outright. Hugh Freeze, 4-1 against Bama. 4-1 against the spread against Bama is Hugh Freeze. A little bit of different teams that he was working with in those 5 games, I'm sure.
Bama's 4-5.
I'm not taking
Hare since 2005.
Since 2005, Bama's 2-7 against the spread at Jordan Hare. And they've lost 5 of those outright, actually.
What I just said.
Here's the thing. I'm not taking Auburn. I do potentially like Auburn first half, plus 7.5. Maybe they get a little squirrely. They throw the kitchen sink at Bama in the first half, and they keep it close.
I like that.
And then I think Bama will eventually roll in the second half because Auburn's just not talented enough, not deep enough. But I think it could be one of those games. Just like I think Florida State will play out the same way, where potentially even the favored team is down at halftime. But I think that eventually Alabama will get it in gear, and I think they'll win somewhere in the neighborhood of 35-17.
So you think they will cover?
Yes.
All right. Gather round. I've had some drinks. Basil Hayden is $23 in Lexington, South Carolina.
You can't beat that.
No. Here's the thing, guys. I know all about the Auburn Juju, and I know all about the Auburn voodoo and the magic and Jordan Hare. And listen, I will say it right now. My mom is a pastor, and I haven't got her confirmation on this, but I know if I ask her, if I call her up and say, listen, Pastor Patty Sue, PPS, is God an Auburn fan? I think the first thing out of her mouth is say, Christopher, sit down for a second. I need to talk to you.
God doesn't care about football.
That's not what she would say. She would say, yes, he is an Auburn fan. And I did not want to tell you this because I was worried about how it would affect you emotionally. You're such a high-strung, emotional guy. And I would say, Mom, it's fine. I knew that for so long. For so long. How else would you explain 2013? How else would you explain 2017? How else would you explain 2019 and Mac Jones, a future Heisman finalist coming in on a really, really good football team, throwing not 1 but 2 pick sixes? How else would you explain them starting basically a fucking telephone pole with a right arm at quarterback in 2021 and almost beating a Heisman Trophy winner coming down the last minute and a half. How do you explain that? How do you explain that twice in the last 10 years, Auburn has won these games in a way that the NCAA had to go into their rule book afterwards and be like, hold on, Nick Marshall was 5 yards, like he had linemen 5 yards downfield, and he was almost entirely across the line of scrimmage when he completed that pass to Sammy Coates to tie up the game in less than 30 seconds before the kick six. You got to change rules. How else do you explain all that? I'm happy that God's an Auburn fan. God is a great dude, man. Big fan of God. Big fan of God.
That's good. That's big of you to say that.
Yeah. Hot take. Listen, guys. Hot take. Unpopular opinion. God, pretty cool dude. Welcome to my YouTube channel. But God is going to be pretty upset this weekend if he's an Auburn fan. All Auburn fans are. Because when you rest your entire fucking game plan and hope to win a game on juju and magic and hocus pocus and whatever else you want to fucking say, that's like a recipe for disaster. And I think this Bama team has gotten better every week since they lost to Texas and USF maybe. That was a toughie for sure. Jalen Milroe has been really, really good. He's got 13 touchdowns in his last 3 games combined. He's been awesome. Last week, he had as many touchdowns as he had incomplete passes. Love this kid. I think that the key for Auburn, if you're trying to win this game, is you have to do something. You have to do something and like take some bits and pieces from old games like 2009, where Gus Malzahn came in as the offensive coordinator and said, you know what, we have just against all odds, like there's no chance of winning this game. Like, throw the record books out. Why don't we do like a fucking double reverse pass, score early, then do an onside kick, do some other shit like the double reverse pass again. You're at 14-0, cling to that for the next 60 minutes or 50 minutes, whatever it is. That's what you have to hope for if you're an Auburn fan. Because Peyton Thorne is not going to beat Alabama. I hate to say it, but Cam Newton's not walking through that fucking door. Kerryon Johnson is not walking through that fucking door. One of like the 18th Carlson brothers is walking in that door at kicker. But this Bama defense is for fucking real. And the offense has gotten better each week. So I know she's not listening. So I'll be as like blunt and rude as possible. Fuck these motherfuckers. Alabama is going to absolutely dog walk these people. And I can't wait because it's probably going to be the last win they have for the next month or so. I don't think it's going to happen when they go to Atlanta. Bama is going to dog walk Auburn when they get into Jordan-Hare. Okay? Yeah, 1,000%, Tyler. They're giving away cups about like the kick six, the 10-year anniversary. Get the fuck out of here. Yeah, like I have watched this program. I've watched Bama win more national titles in an Olympiad than Auburn has won in their entire existence of a program. Peyton Thorne is not it. Robbie Ashford is not it. Jarquez Hunter, I like him. He's pretty good. But they have
we can safely say he's not it.
No, he's not. He's not. Yeah. And unless this game involves something along the lines of that 2009 game combined with multiple pick sixes, Bama's going to have to be at least be -3 in the turnover margin with Jalen Milroe. Maybe you find a way then. I don't know. But I will tell you this. Unless Bama has like a bunch of fumbles in their own territory, a bunch of turnovers deep in their own territory, that's the only reason why Auburn was so close with Georgia for most of that game. Alabama's going to win this game. They're going to win this game convincingly. Like, just convincingly. They've been a really, really good team. Vegas has been off about this team by about 7 points or more in 6 of their 9 big games against Power 5 competition. I like Bama to win. I don't think it's close. I think they really pull away in the second half. Maybe Auburn pulls some shit out of their hat early. But I think by the time this is like half of the third quarter or going into the fourth, this one's over. This one's fucking over. So enjoy swag surfing with the other 17 people left in that fucking stadium. Alabama wins. I'll say 38-17.
So even bigger than my score. By the way, the current line in some books has ticked down to 13.5. Love that.
God, why didn't you tell me that before I started my rant?
All right, fine. I switch it up. Auburn money line. All right, and last in-depth coverage we'll go into. This is a big one. Biggest game in quite some time. Saturday, 12 p.m. on Fox. Number 2, Ohio State against number 3, Michigan. Michigan when I took my notes, was a 3.5-point favorite. Let's see if that still holds.
I'm going to pour some more drinks.
It does. So, well, there's some threes out there as well now. So it's ticked down a little bit. Total 45.5. Michigan leads the series 60, 51, and 6 all time. I got to be honest with you. I've thought Michigan all year. I'm starting to lean towards Michigan or Ohio State in this game. Now, I don't trust Kyle McCord at all. I don't trust Kyle McCord at all. One thing I think I do like in this game, weirdly, because I know both defenses are very good, is the over 45.5. The over's hit every year but one since 2011. So I just think, there's enough. Yeah, there's enough playmakers in this game that I think this total will go over. But I looked at the last 2 games that Michigan has not had Jim Harbaugh. 287 total yards against Penn State, 291 yards against Maryland. I think they're playing more poorly without Harbaugh, and that's an obvious statement, but I think some people just thought, like a 3-game suspension, whatever. I think it's made a major difference in Michigan this year, and all I can keep picturing in my mind is some scenario where Ohio State wins this game and Ryan Day is just – we saw what he did after the Notre Dame game to Lou Holtz. Like, he's going to go ballistic on television if they win this game. And I don't know, man. I think I'm going to go Ohio State outright. I don't love it, but I just think that there's a lot of people that want Michigan's blood. I think Ohio State's the only team in the conference that could do something about it. Now, yeah, I might not bet it right away because I do want to see how those line of scrimmage play out. I mean, Michigan has completely bullied Ohio State the last couple of years, and if it happens early in this game as well, I wouldn't love my bet right off the bat. So I may wait to see how that plays out. But, man, Ohio State's really turned it on lately. I mean, they haven't played anyone worth a shit, but, I mean, they haven't given up 17 points in a game all year.
Really?
Yeah, I'm looking at the schedule now. I mean, they gave up 17 to Maryland. They gave up 7 to Purdue, 12 to Penn State, 10 to Wisconsin, 16 to Rutgers, 3 to Michigan State, and 3 to Minnesota. Yeah, I like Ohio State in this game. I think it's probably what the nation wants to see at this point. Now, if this does play out, if Ohio State beats Michigan, does Ohio State jump Georgia? Because it seemed like on the playoff show that they basically admitted that that's going to happen.
No, I don't think that happens.
Boo Corrigan, when they interviewed Boo Corrigan, who is straight out of like 1912.
Can you imagine being a grown ass?
He said that. He said,
"What's your name?" Boo.
Boo.
Okay.
Oh, real scary, buddy. No, but they mentioned something like that, like, oh, well, if Ohio State goes out and beats Michigan, then they'll be the number 1 team. Like he just casually said that on the show. So, I think so the over under is 45.5. I will go 27-23 Ohio State. With the upset, they can finally get revenge on Michigan.
Much about.
And Ryan Day goes absolutely ballistic on television after the game.
God, I hope that happens. I want Ryan Day. This might be a deep cut for some of our listeners, but I think we have an older crowd a little bit of an older crowd. Like, I want to see Chris Farley doing like General Schwarzkopf, like from SNL, and like, and I'll tell you another thing. I want Holyfield. This summer, the Taj Mahal, the war on the shore. Anyway, I'll tell you right now, I am drunk for one. I mowed through this Basil Hayes, Tyler. I'm so thankful for you and this podcast and all of you guys listening right now. But let me tell you this. I am so over Michigan shit. I'd rather spend multiple afternoons with the worst drunk uncles on Thanksgiving than ever have to listen to a Michigan fan defend what happened this year. Like, because it went from you hate us because you ain't us. You like everyone's trying to bring us down. It was Ohio State that did it. It went from hashtag bet to hashtag like all right, well, I mean, like, maybe, like, whatever, dude. Like, everyone does it, like, so quickly. I honestly, I respected them in the beginning of this whole thing when they cheated because I was like, good for you. You're finally taking football seriously. You're being an SEC team. You're cheating. Like we all do it. Fine. But then you sat there in this whole fucking ivory tower bullshit of Michigan man looking down the nose at everyone else in the SEC, everyone else in the country, Ohio State, and blah blah blah. Because I would love to pull up some tweets from people that like are the most outspoken about this whole thing with Michigan and see what they thought about like Tattoo Gate from the 2012 Ohio State team with Terrell Pryor, where they were selling their like belongings for fucking tattoos and shit. Like, I guarantee you it's very different. All that being said, like Michigan is a really good football team. Lake Corum has 20 touchdowns. He's got 20 touchdowns with less than 900 yards rushing, which is astounding. They're a really good team. They've got J.J. McCarthy, who I think has been good at times this year. If there's one thing if that motherfucker gets invited to New York for the Heisman, I'm going to lose my mind. I will lose my mind. We've already given one Michigan person an invite that did deserve it 2 years ago. He does not need to be invited. They can win in spite of him, or they can win with him. We've seen both this year. That being said, Ohio State, the thing that we don't get about this university and this program this year, they're a really good defensive team. I love the stat you brought up that they've only given up 17 points, or they haven't given up more than 17 points in a game this season. They haven't played a ton of ranked opponents, but they have played 2 top 10 teams. I believe one of them was on the road at least. The other was Penn State at home. But, like, they've beaten both those teams. They're 11-0. They're 11-0. They're number 2 for a reason. And this defense is for fucking real. And here's the other thing. They are battle-tested. They are battle-tested. And I think that if you look at this program and you think about, like, or you look at this team and you think about how, like, who's going to go win in this game? You don't trust Kyle McCord? That's fine. Trayvon Henderson had his best game of the season last week in that big rout against Indiana. They're going on the road. I think this is like, shut out the noise. Like, let's have fucking laser focus, go into Ann Arbor, and let's rip out these people's fucking hearts, because they have got to be so fired up for this game, especially after the last 2 years. I like Ohio State to win. I think it's one of those games like we saw in the late 90s, early 2000s, very much dating myself here, where it's very, very close, probably a prime number game for a little bit. What is going on? What was that noise? Anyway, like a prime number game, like for a while. And then what we find out is that Ohio State busts a big play and breaks it wide open, much like Michigan did last year. I like Ohio State to win. I like them to win. I think it's a fucking statement game. They put on this team's throat in the fourth quarter, and they do not let up. I like Ohio State to win. I will say 24-14.
Okay, so you do like the under in this game.
Yeah, I do.
I don't know if that's the under, actually, now that I think about it. Tough. Okay. All right, so no more games to heavily break down, but any other games that intrigue you? I mean, the rest of these rivalry games are kind of massive spreads. One that intrigues me is the Apple Cup out in Washington State at Washington. It's a 16.5-point spread right now for Washington, but Washington's obviously got that big Oregon game coming up next week. This game always seems to be a little crazy. I think Washington State's playing a little bit better than they were in the middle of the season. They're back into a little bit more form of where they were at the beginning of the season. That's a potential spot for Washington where you could see a closer game than the 16.5. I don't know if they'll lose the game outright, but I think I like the Cougs to cover the spread in that game. Any other games that you like on the schedule or you want to talk about?
I'll say this game because I love this game, and I wish they played it in Atlanta every single year. 24.5. I have no concept of who's going to win this game. I do think I will say this. I think Georgia Tech puts up more points. Did I say that?
You did.
We got to wrap the show. I'm done. I'm done. Love you guys all. Sorry. Happy Thanksgiving.
Wait, all right. So before we wrap, obviously, don't forget to call the hotline this week, 770-674-8233. Let's hear the hatred run through you this week. We know there's a lot of bad blood on Rivalry Week, Week 13. So give us a call, hotline, leave us a voicemail. After this show, I'm gonna go change the voicemail intro so it's shorter, and make sure you keep your voicemail short too, because we're not playing 3-minute ones.
Now I will tell you this: if you're also at a game this weekend, send us video. We'll put it on the show. We can put it on the show afterwards. Or hear me out here. Definitely. But if you want to fucking FaceTime yourself and send us a video of your instant reaction after game, also do that, because we will post it in our Saturday Football Uncensored segment that we will also be doing on Sunday.
I like that.
Fuck. Tough day, huh?
Yeah. Lay off the Basil Haydens, bruh. All right, that's the end of the show. As always, we appreciate you listening to the show. It would help us in the growth of the show if you'd rate us 5 stars on Apple and Spotify. Leave us a review. We will read the best ones on air. And like and subscribe to the YouTube page. Don't forget to check out the videos and clips from the show at Sat Down South on Twitter, at Saturday Down South on Instagram and TikTok, and, of course, Saturday Down South on YouTube. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. We are so very thankful for every listener that we've gained over the course of this year. It's the best season numbers-wise for the pod in the history of the pod, and all thanks to you guys. So we really appreciate it. For Chris, I'm Tyler. Talk to you guys on Sunday night.